Happy Sunday, everybody. So, I just got back from church and I wanted to jump on here really quickly because something happened at church that sparked an idea. As I was thinking about, we're going through this Advent season and, um, we're waiting for Christ to be born and Christmas Day and all of those different things. But so at my church, we have acolytes, and they're usually young children who bring the light into the church. And so they walk, they start from the front door and they kind of walk in and bring the light into the church, and then they light the three candles, and different things like that. And so we had that happened this morning, except when they're bringing the light into the service, sometimes if you're walking too fast or just things are acting up, the light can go out. And so the as the child was walking in, the light went out, and it was so beautiful because the pastor just walked in and just lit it, and she kept on walking, and it was almost in sync, like you could just see it in sync, and it sparked an idea in my mind where for a very very long time, before I started my career, I used to look down on people whose lights were out, for whatever reason. And somebody's light can be out because they are having a hard time, well, social economically. Their light can be out because they just have so much anger, um, and things in their lives. Their light can be out because they've gone through so much stress and trauma and different things like that. And when I saw that synchrony happening between the pastor and the acolyte, I was like, you know what? That's what it life is. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to walk along with people, and as we see their lights turned out for whatever reason it is, we light it. We do what we can. At the time that it happened, obviously, the pastor was supposed to be standing at the back of the church waiting for the acolyte to light all the candles so the order of service could go on, and things like that, because there's an order to service. But he broke the order of service and came up and lit the candle, or lit the acolyte. Oh, I don't know what the stick is called, but he lit it as she was walking in. And so sometimes we have to kind of break away from the mainstream, break away from the path that we're on, break away from what the step-by-step guide that we have that says these are the things that you have to do in life in order to help somebody else. And that just came to mind as I was watching, what was happening between the pastor and the acolyte. And this verse came to mind. It's Matthew 14, and then I skipped to verse 16, where it says, "You are the light in the world." And verse 16 says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and be glorified, and glorify your Father in heaven." And to be the light of the world, yes, sometimes it may take a lot out of you. You may have to make a big change or a big sacrifice. But sometimes being the light of the world is a small thing. That ability to, while you're on the highway and you see somebody, putting their blinker on and they need to get into that lane. If you slow down a little bit and you let that person into your lane, write that down. That's a point for you. You did something good for somebody. There is that temptation sometimes to say, oh no, I'm in a hurry, so I'm not going to let you get in my lane. But sometimes it's good to just let that person get in there and get to where it is that they're going. Sometimes being a light in the world means helping somebody in school. If you're a kid in school and you know that there's somebody that's always sitting down and alone, and they don't usually have anybody to talk to. They eat their lunch by themselves. They seem to not have any friends that they communicate regularly with. You could be a light in their world by joining them. Join them, sit with them. And even if the both of you are just quietly sitting together, that's okay. But you can sit with them and say, "Hey, how are you?" Even saying like, what was the last class that you had and how was that class? That can be a good way to start conversation, and things like that. You can be the light in somebody else's world, if you give them directions. You see somebody's lost, and they're looking for something and they can't find it, and you point them in the right direction and you let them know, hey, here's where it is. Or even in the grocery store, I'm like 5'1". I put the one there. My doctor doesn't agree with the one, but I put the one. And so there are people like me who are standing in the grocery store trying to reach that thing, that product that's way up there. And so if you've been gifted with height, guess what? You could be a light at that point in time and reach for that thing that's high on the shelf and give it to somebody that's in the fives as far as height is concerned, that's that shorter end of five. You could be the light in the world by voting. You could be in the light in the world by the bigger things, like going out and being an activist, speaking at the city council, going to Washington, doing all that stuff. So you could do from all the way the smallest thing to help somebody to all the way the greatest thing. And I think the main point in it all is that you show somebody love, kindness. You give somebody a chance to see what it is to receive a gift, whether it's a physical gift, whether it's monetary, whether it's your time, whether it's the energy that you use. There are so many ways that we could go out there and be a light in the world. So what I'd like for you guys to do, thank you for listening. And what I'd like for you to do is to write down a time when you've helped somebody, and or a time when somebody has helped you and they were a light in your world. And then I also want you guys to see if you could write in the comments, if you can think ahead of the upcoming week, and that there might be a situation that comes up that you could definitely be a light in somebody else's world. Write that down in the comments as well. The thing that flashed through my mind as I was saying that is when I was working in an office, sometimes we would have our meetings on Mondays, sometimes we would have them on another day. But let's say sometime this week, there's a meeting that's coming up. And that, all your coworkers are going to be piling into this, one little space so that you all could go ahead and sit down and have a team meeting or something like that. What's something that you could do that could be just a little bit kinder to everybody, that could just help everybody out just a little bit? Whether it's, if the boss walks in and they have these flyers or paperwork to pass out, you'll be the one that volunteers and says, what, I'll pass it out for, and give one to everybody, or something. Or, this is the season of giving, so could you stop by the store and buy something, a little piece of candy, for example, and put one on each one of your coworkers' desks. And that's a small act of kindness. If your child is in school, if you are a child in school, whether it's elementary all the way to high school, could you bring something small for the class that you could, ask your teacher, your homeroom teacher, to distribute amongst the students? Or could you bring something that the teacher that takes you all to lunch could distribute to all the students that are standing in line waiting to go to lunch? Something like that. So think of ways that you could do some small random act of kindness this week. If you're watching this, even long after this video is done, the message still applies. It doesn't matter what time, day, year it is. You can still do some kind of small random act of kindness. So let this be something that pushes you into gear, that gets the wheels turning and gets you out there being the light of this world. All right. Thank you guys for listening. I look forward to reading your comments, no matter when you're listening to this, how far down the road you're listening to this. Please leave a comment and let me know how somebody has been a light in your world and how you can be a light in somebody else's world. Thank you guys for listening, and happy Sunday to you all. All right. Bye.